Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode 690. Happy Sunday. My voice is still a little I was doing some yelling, some screaming, some cheering on Friday night. High school football, Friday night lights. So my voice is still recovering from that. So I want to share my adventures at homecoming from the weekend. Share a little eBay update. And my mom found something pretty cool, baseball card related, that was waiting for me when I arrived home. So, how has your weekend been? Mine was, well, we'll talk about it, homecoming, and just kind of a quick 24-hour trip back home. 28, I think, 28 hours total from the time I left Friday morning until when I got back home yesterday afternoon. And then I just kind of did some shipping. John, what's up? Good morning. So I saw your itinerary. So you must have landed by now from Vegas. So I woke up yesterday morning, a little headache, imbibed many Bud Lights on Friday night. So hit the road late Saturday morning. I had thought about on my drive home. I was talking to a friend of mine Friday afternoon. My buddy Brandon, who I've talked about, Larry, like I always envied his Larry Johnson and Barry Sanders collection when we were growing up. And he's back collecting. He's a big Detroit Lions fan. So he was showing me some of his Aiden Hutchinson pickups. And I'd forgot to bring he's the guy that I've mentioned that is working on the 1987 Topps football set. Oh, well, he wants to build it. So we were talking about like retail, and he was kind of sharing he was sharing some of the retail like pickups and what's been in stock at the Walmart around my hometown. And so I had forgot when I went back home in June, I had forgot to bring the box of 87 Topps, but it worked out because I had a second box that in the last 3 months I've built with more 87 Topps football. With he's a big DeAndre Swift fan, so I had some DeAndre Swift rookies and probably some more Larry Johnson and Barry Sanders cards. So I had 2 boxes for him. So we hung out, went over after the. I got home just in time for the homecoming parade, and after the parade, went over, dropped off those, hung out for a little bit, talked football cards, talked retail, all that good stuff. So he's excited to get the 87 Topps football set, build that, and he's like, I want to find like one of those, albums where it says football card album. I'm like, I might have one in my car. Because I get these albums that say baseball card album, football card album, sports collectors card album, all those, from the 80s and 90s. And I decided a couple months ago, I bet there's a market for these. And this just proves Brandon wants a football card album. And, I think if he found one at a card show for $5, he would be a buyer. So I think there's other people out there. So a couple months ago, I took 6 binders, and I probably did have the football card binder, and it probably was sold because I sold 2 of them, and I was like happy, like, hey, I got $10 for 2 of these binders. So now I have some still in my storage area, so I may I don't know if I have a football one. I'll have to go check. So John's in the house. Zach and Porter, good morning. DR says, good morning. I have made it through 25% of the collection, and so far my sales, only about 18 items will allow me to buy that Fujitsu scanner with your show promo card from Don at Fujitsu. That is awesome. That is awesome. John says C2C is much better than B2B. Talking about the industry summit, I assume, out in Vegas this past weekend. I had, I really have zero interest, and I thought so. Here, I'm gonna share my thoughts on the industry summit. What's up, Jenny? No hangover here today. No hangover here. I slept it off Saturday. Um and Saturday was a Powerade and water day. Powerade and water got me through Saturday. So my thought on the industry summit. Um Talking about you and your homie. Oh, C to C is much better than B to B. Okay, gotcha. Consumer to consumer. Yes, I agree. Um but I do want to share my industry summit because John was out there at the same time as the industry summit. Or it maybe it start does the industry summit actually start today? The card show was like a precursor. I don't know. But anyway, the industry summit is around this time. And before I went full time into the hobby, I thought, the industry. So if I went full time in the hobby, that's something that I, need to do. I need to go to the industry summit and the national and all this. And as I do this full time, I really don't care. It's like I'm I'm having a good time, like I'm selling. I'm not, and I think the industry summit, like my this is my viewpoint of the industry summit, what it's all about. It's for people at bigger companies that are, sharing their stuff to the other big wigs, and it's for people trying to get jobs in the hobby. And I'm none of those things. And I'm perfectly content not going there and trying to schmooze and all that stuff. So that's my thought process on the industry summit. And it's funny how your thoughts and opinions evolve, hobby evolution, evolve over time. And before I went full time, I'm like, oh, that's something. If I'm full time in the hobby, I've got to go to the industry summit. And then like a couple months in, like reality sets in when you're actually doing it and you're not just, overhead looking over. Oh, if you're full time in the hobby, you have to go there. No, not at all. And a couple months in, I started to realize, you know what, I don't need any of this, industry stuff. So that's my thought process on the industry summit. Could not care less. I'll be interested if there's news that come out. I know there's been hinting of some big news coming out today. We'll see. So yeah, I'll follow that stuff. But all the other, trying to schmooze and hobnob and not my thing. Royals 417, what is up? Good morning. Got to my first card show in about 6 months yesterday. Very nice. I did not do a card show this weekend, but I did go to an antique mall. So when did I go to my buddy's house? I went after the parade, because I think my buddy worked until 2. So the parade started at 1, which I want to share my idea for a scary movie that I lived through on Friday on my commute home. So we went to so it's 1 o'clock. The parade ended at 1:05. Okay, maybe 1:10. It was a short parade. I mean, my high school is like enrollment 100. So it's my graduating class, which is probably huge when you look at today's graduating classes. We were class of 35 in my graduating class. And I think back then we had like 160 in the high school. Does the math work out on that? 35 times 4. Yeah, that's pretty close. So I think we were around 140, 150, 160, somewhere in there. But I think now they're around 100 to 120 in total enrollment for the high school. So the parade ends, and it's like, now what? Brandon doesn't get off work until 2. I'm like, you want to go to an antique mall? So my mom's like a big antiquer. She loves antique malls and flea markets and stuff like that. So it's so she's like, yeah, let's go to Sheffield, which is a town about 10 miles away. And it's just off the interstate, off I-80. It's a big antique mall. Actually, it's not too big. It's a decent size. So we go there, and like I think my mom goes there fairly like once a month maybe. And so we're walking through, and she points out this like, booth, and she's like, this is where I get, because like at Christmas she'll like just buy me random Cubs stuff, which is pretty cool. And she's like, "This is where I get a lot of the sports stuff." And so I'm like, and it was for me, like I love little tchotchkes and like just random stuff, and this had it all. Like, I mean, there were mugs. There was a really cool like giant glass mug of Andre the Giant, which I wanted, and the it was like $30, and it's like, which I know, like you get like a Yeti or something, it's probably 200, but it's like I don't want to spend $30 on a glass mug that I probably won't use. It'll probably just go in a storage tub in my basement. And so that's kind of the thought process I had. It's like, am I really going to use this? Which another thing I almost bought, it was $22. It was a red plastic fireman's helmet. Okay, hear me out. But there was a sticker on the front because Harry Carey once wore a fireman's helmet, Cub fan, Bud man. And I'm like, this is pretty awesome. So I thought about it and I'm like, you know what the hell am I gonna do with it? Like, am I gonna wear this to Wrigley Field in to a Cubs game? Maybe. But is it really worth it? The rest of the time it's gonna sit in my basement in a storage tub. So I passed. Um what else? That booth also had so there were a couple frames of like ticket stubs, and I didn't really do much homework on the ticket stubs. I looked up a couple. There were some like concert tickets from the 80s. There was a Van Halen ticket from 88. There was what else? I can't some of those like rock bands from the 80s. But nothing that really Van Halen 88 was probably the best ticket stub. And they sell for $10, $15 on eBay. Um, it was actually it was a decent price. I think the frame had 5 tickets and it was like $20. So I probably could have bought it and made some money, but it probably was going to be one of those where I might not make my money back for a year. They may sit in the eBay store for a year. So, I'll pass. And then there were some baseball tickets and they were just random. Something could have happened. Who knows? But I didn't really take the time to look. Not many cards, which I was surprised. Not even like junk wax cards. The only cards I saw, sports cards at the antique mall, was like little team bag basically of wrestling cards, and there were like 3 or 4 WCW card packs, and like not packs but like homemade packs like in a team bag, and then some WWF WrestleMania, but they were like basically it was like $1 a card. So if they were like $1 for all of them, definitely $1 a card, pass. So that was about it. My mom bought some like glassware, some antique glassware, and I was content going home empty-handed. Tracy, what's up? Good morning. Herman's in the house. He had some wings last night. Driving to the flea market, so I'll be listening in the background. Awesome. I actually drove by a flea market yesterday on my drive home in Monroe. Was it Monroe? I think it was Monroe, Wisconsin. And I'm like, oh, a flea market. Because that's where you can get the good deals. Like an antique mall, I just assume walking in, everything's overpriced, and I'm not going to find a good deal. But a flea market, that's where you can find the good deals. And I need to add a flea market in my rotation and I know we have some great flea markets in Wisconsin. So that's something that I need to do is check out some flea markets. Jenny says, let's hope this is a good one today going against football in London. That's right. What game is on? I even looked because usually on Sundays I'm like, go Bears. I don't even know who the Bears play. I don't even know what time the game starts, but I know the Bears play at noon against the Giants. And then I had to look because since I live in Cheesehead country, I had to look, are they going up against the Packers? Because if they're going against the Packers, I won't be able to watch it on TV. And even sometimes Jenny, it's the Vikings. It's Jenny's Vikings going on right now against the Saints, and the Vikings have a 7-0 lead. So we've got Bears and Giants at noon. Packers play at 3. So, okay, Packers and Patriots at 3. Okay. So there's your football update. Let's see. Cooter, what's up, Cooter? He's welcoming John home. Um, Straight off the red eye to the chat. That is dedication. I saw John's flight itinerary, and I'm like, well, John's not going to be in the chat this morning because he'll be probably collecting his. Well, I went on a little late, so 8:30. So he's probably already picked up his luggage and home from the airport by now. Zach and Porter says your answer should be I am the industry, pal. There you go. Let's see. Jenny wants to know to Cooter, what's for dinner? I'm going to attempt my first smoking today. Chicken says it's for beginners, so I'll start there before brisket. Hey, I like it. I have never tried a smoker. I've been very tempted to go down that route. I've tried like the cheap smoker method, like the smoke box that you put on your grill, and it's meh. It's okay. But it's not like an actual, like Jenny's got an actual smoker. I just have the cheap smoke box and the cheap smoke chips. Boring dinner for me last night. We had the Tyson frozen chicken that we throw in the toaster oven and a side of like wild rice. So but it was a little better than the well, I guess I didn't eat too crappy. My Friday lunch was a gas station sandwich. Not Casey's though. Unfortunately. Um, I had a gas station sandwich. I don't even had turkey and cheese or something. And then my dinner was a pork chop sandwich at the football game, which oof, that's like that's the best part of a high school football game in Illinois is the pork chop sandwiches. They even have in the state of in the IHSA, the Illinois High School Association, puts on a tournament for the best pork chop sandwich at high school football games. My alma mater was in they only select 16 high schools to do this. My high school was not part of this year's tournament, but they were in a previous, maybe last year, or I guess going back, it would have been 2019. Either 2019 or 2021, my high school was part of that tournament. Let's see. Dan says Triple Crown 24 did a great video about what is your hobby identity, and he had some great nuggets of experience from when he hired a couple of part-time people you should watch. That's a great idea because I am so yesterday began my day one of my year two in the hobby, full time. Officially, like I'm marking my official anniversary date. Now, by IRS standards, by government, it's October 1st. But by my standards, it's October 15th because that's when I literally went full time. Like October 1st of 2021. That was like my 2-week notice period at my previous job. I had gone in expecting them to say, we don't need your 2-week notice. They didn't do that. So basically, I just kicked my feet up for the last 2 weeks and collected a paycheck. So it was like a 2-week bonus for me. It was an extra paycheck. And I'm like, hey, if you need me, here I am. But I'm not, I was in sales. So it's not going to make sales for 2 weeks. I'll talk to my existing clients, but I'm not going to bend over backwards. Let's see. Victor, what's up? Watching from the local Target. Have a great Sunday. Excellent. I think I'm going to make a Walmart run today because I had heard on one of our local baseball card Facebook groups that one of the Walmarts here has Topps Gallery, which normally I'm not like a big Topps Gallery fan, but there hasn't been any baseball products, and I'm itching to rip some baseball cards. So I'm out of envelopes. Costco is still out. So I can get them for just a little bit more at Walmart, which is still less. We've talked about this, still less than online prices, Amazon and Walmart online. So I will go to Walmart today, get some envelopes, see if there's any Topps Gallery, update my Topps Pro Debut. My guy reached out yesterday and he's like, hey, our big order of Pro Debut did not come on time. So I'll keep you posted. So that was the plan for this afternoon, was to drive up to Waupun, Wisconsin, go to a Real Break store and pick up a couple cases of Topps Pro Debut. They don't have them in stock, so today's just going to be a shipping and watching football day. So I'll keep you posted on Pro Debut, because when I do run to pick it up, maybe it might not be until Tuesday. Tuesday I was planning to mow, get that last mow in. So we'll see. So Pro Debut TBA, to be announced, to be determined. Brian, Ginger Wisdom, what's up? Were you homecoming king? No, I was not even on homecoming court in high school. I was not even on homecoming court. I had one of my cousins was on homecoming court this year. So his mom and grandma were watched the parade from my mom's house on Friday afternoon, so they could take pictures of him in the convertible. Let's see. John says, not home yet. 300-year-old Asian man Ubering me. I feel like I'm in a tuk-tuk. Did I pronounce that wrong? Going backwards. John says, antique malls are mostly junk wax era. That's been my experience. And it's typically like a pack of 1989 Tops for $10 or something to that effect. Cooter says, probably brats, Jenny. Any advice on smoking is trust the heat and time and don't peek, because looking ain't cooking. You lose your heat. I'm guilty. I'm like impatient. When I grill, I'm looking. If I'm doing steak for myself, I don't look, because I trust it. But when I'm cooking for others, that's when all bets are off, because I like it more on the rare side. Everybody else is like, either I like it when people want a steak grilled to how I like. They're like medium rare, but medium rare to rare. That's how I like a steak. So I like it when people want it medium rare to rare or well done, because I can put the steaks on at the same time, pull mine off, and then just cook the hell out of that well done steak. It's when you're dealing with the mediums who don't like pink, they want it well done, but they want it still juicy. That's when you're dealing with some trouble on the grill. And that's where I find that's the most difficult way for me, is when I'm cooking for others and there's like 4 different people that want 4 different ways. And it's like, what the hell? Because I don't want my medium rare to rare. I've got to pull that off. I don't want it to get cold. So it's tough. So that's why I like just cooking for myself. Or usually my wife doesn't eat steaks. She'll have burgers. So that I can handle that. Let's see. John says, just picture the look on your wife's face when contemplating a purchase. And that's, we went back and we pre-gamed drinking some Bud Lights at my mom's house before the game. And I, was talking to some friends my brother came down. We had a neighbor come down, and one of my high school classmates was over. My brother came over, and a couple cousins came over. So we were talking about that, and the neighbor goes, what would Amy say? And I'm like, yeah, if I brought home a plastic fireman's helmet, she would be like, why? We're building a house. Why did you spend $20 on a fireman's helmet? So yeah, that was one of the things. Like, what would Amy say? Good morning, Rich. Uncle Rich in the house. Rich says, enjoyed your cameo on Hobby Hotline yesterday. Yeah, Hobby Hotline on Bench Clear Media went live yesterday morning. I have not seen John's clip yet. So it must have been the very end of the show, because I think there's only 10 minutes left. I put it on yesterday when I got home last night, and did not see John's portion yet. Can't wait for the picket line photo. You'll get more pub than sports card radio. Let's see. Jenny says, yep, so make this good or I'm switching channels. There you go. Man City versus Man United today. I checked to see if you were on after listening to the latest Women of the Hobby webcast. Ladies first. I attempted the smoke box you put on your grill. I threw it away. LOL, my smoker was cheap. My old man didn't use his, so I rehomed it. for him on Friday. Very nice. Yeah, the smoker box does not work. Smoker crowd just as pretentious as the craft beer crowd was when they arrived on the scene. I can, I know what you're, saying. I know what you're saying. Rich says, food talk. Yay, the real purpose of this chat has returned. Last night after the Arlington version of the Dallas Card Show, we went to the Chinese buffet near my house. I haven't been to a good Chinese buffet in quite some time. When we do Chinese now, we've kind of got our rotation of restaurants. Like if we want a burger, we go here. If we want Chinese, we go here. If we want sushi, we go here. If we want something else, we go here. Mexican. So Chinese, we go to a place called Taigu in downtown Middleton. Homemade noodles, very good. But sometimes I just want that greasy, terrible for you Chinese buffet food, and I haven't had that in a while. I'm gonna have to get some here soon. John says pork chop sandwich cards coming soon. I did take a picture, but it's not really worthy of post. It looks like crap. It looks terrible. I wish there was a way to put pictures in the chat here on YouTube. Rich says it's so good. That's when we left at 7:45 last night. There was still at least a half hour wait to get in. That's when you know it's a good place. Speaking of long lines to get in, one place I haven't, when I go home, I always want to go like once a year. And actually I've probably only been twice in the last 10 years. It's a place called Rip's Tavern in Ladd, Illinois, Ladd. It's right on, just off I-80, Interstate 80. It's about a half an hour from where I grew up, my hometown. And it's they're known for their chicken, fried chicken, and it's amazing. It's where I had my first beer. I won't tell you how old I was or how young I was. It's like an hour and a half wait just to sit down. The line like snakes through the restaurant, through the bar, out into the hall, into the like lounge lobby, and then in the warm weather months out onto the sidewalk in front of the tavern. And it's amazing chicken, and it's still cheap. Like I don't think in the 25 years that since the first time I went in high school, they've probably only raised the price like $1 for your chicken. And it's, oh man, it's so good. My mom hates it. My mom does not like fried chicken. So it's hard for me to get back there. But that's something that it's like, and now that it's October, it's like, man, this is like good fried. Like I love fried food in the fall like that. I don't know if I'm like wanting to, I think it's like, and there's been like, I don't know if studies, but like science backing it up that like, humans want to eat more like as the weather gets colder, and it's dating back to like our ancestors when we had to go hunt and gather our food. So we feel like we have a need to like eat. It's almost like the is it squirrels or whatever that like pack their food for the winter, and it's similar to that. I don't know if I've read that before. If it's on the internet, it's got to be true. So in the war, like this time of year, I like eat really shoot food, really Shiite food. I just eat a bunch of crap and fried food, and I love it. But I don't in like the hot, like warm weather. Like I don't eat Mexican food in the summer. Like there's just something about Mexican food that I don't like in the summer months, in the hot, warm weather months. But I enjoy it in the fall and winter and in spring. Fried food, same. Now I'll eat fried food all year round, but I really love it in October when it's getting cold. Let's see. Where are we at? Jenny says we had a blast Friday night led by Porter. Looking forward to the next Porter-led Friday night show. Very cool. I missed out on that. Rich says pull that Mona Lisa rookie out of gallery. Yeah, that's a crazy. Mona Lisa has a rookie card in Topps gallery. That's pretty cool. And I know some think it's, it's just a gimmicky card. I think it's pretty cool. John says, our company doesn't do the 2-week notice thing. We simply get an email stating so-and-so is no longer with the company. And typically that's in the industry I worked in. That's how it worked. But we were very understaffed, and they're like, can you stay 2 weeks? And I'm like, okay, I'll collect another paycheck. Because I was prepared to exit stage left on October 1st. They're like, and that's why I waited. I didn't give a 2-week notice, or I didn't give a 2-week notice prior to October 1st, because I just said, like every other employee in the 7.5 years that I worked in that office, I think all but one had a 2-week notice accepted, where everybody else is like, nope, today's your last day. Thanks for your time. So that's what I expected. Like, nah, you can just leave today if you want. That's what I expected. And they're like, we could really use you for 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, I'll collect another paycheck. I'm good. Let's see. Jenny says you'll be ripping baseball soon. Where's your pro debut cases? Yes, I mentioned that I'm behind on the chat, so I think I shared that. They're not in yet. They were delayed. Where's my list of products? Yeah, like now it's like I'm itching to rip, and it's like I'm going out in search of Topps Gallery. But we still have Allen and Ginter. I've got pro debut on the way. We've got Heritage Miners, which I'll pick up. Heritage Miners. We've got Stadium Club, which I don't really go out, but if Stadium Club came out today, I would be all about it. Bowman Draft, which I probably won't buy. Archives, which I will buy. So if it comes, I don't know. Who knows? Everything's so late and delayed. Rich says, oh, and my best purchase yesterday was a Ryan Sandberg 83 Fleer for 50 cents. Wow. That's a hell of a price. I picked up 283 Fleer Sandbergs at one of my card shows over the summer for $1 each. After my volume discount, it was probably 90 cents, but 50 cents, hey, all day, every day. 2-week notice depends on the company, the boss, and how much someone else needs to learn your job. That's true. Andrew, ILL, the Badgers suck. Fortunately, I was driving during the Wisconsin-Illinois game yesterday. I had it on the, I checked the score for some, I could not find, which is really bizarre because usually, like where I grew up, at least when I was living there in Illinois, 20 years ago, there was like on a Saturday afternoon during an Illini football game, you would hit Seek on the radio and like every other station had the Illinois football game on. I could not even find the Illinois football game until I reached the border and I picked up the Wisconsin signal. And fortunately, I was listening to, and at the point that I hit like Northern Illinois, where I was able to pick up the Wisconsin stations, it was like 24-10 Illinois, and I'm like, oh, this sucks. So I found like an 8-man high school football game on the radio. Orangeville versus Rockford Christian Life, I think. So that was actually pretty entertaining. The broadcasters were good. There was a lot of action. It's 8-man, so it's pretty offensive oriented. And the Badgers really sucked, and they ended up losing. Wisconsin lost 34-10. They're terrible. So yeah, go Illinois, I guess. One of the best things I found about buying a huge collection is I can sell cards at whatever price I want below comps, and it ends up being a win-win and speeds up the break-even process. Boom, Dan, you nailed it. That's why in every once in a while, I'll receive eBay messages. Hey, you're way below it's like, screw you. This is my price. Like, I don't have to be at or above comps because my buy-in price on this card is 5 cents. So if it comps at $10, I'll sell it for $5. Like that's where you win when you're selling cards, is on the buy side. Buy them. If you are able to buy a collection, buy in bulk and get these cards at, X price per card or whatever it might be. And your buy-in price is like, hey, maybe you've got $1,000 worth of cards comped and you paid $100 for them, and you can sell cards below comps. So yep, that is one of the best things on the buy side. And obviously we all know buy low, sell high, and you don't even have to sell highest. You just buy low and sell higher than what you paid for, and it's a win-win. And it also helps with returning customers. They're like, oh, Dan's got great cards. He's selling below comps. I'm going to follow his store, and the more he puts up, I'm going to check it out. And boom, you've got returning customers to your eBay store because you're able to sell at or below comps. And even if you're at comps, people have bought from you before, and they trust you and they buy from you. Let's see. There's Zach. Zach, you're ruining the comps market. Let's see. Jenny says, how was your final sales of your sale Friday? So my sales Friday. So like Jenny, like you mentioned, like I had great sales through the weekend. So my sale started Thursday. So my Thursday, I killed it because the sale started at like noon on Thursday and went until basically midnight Friday. So my Friday sales weren't as good as Thursday. Like when I initiated the sale, boom, I had a flood and did really well. And I was able to sell more. My dollar per day benchmark that I want to reach eclipsed Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Off to a slow start here on Sunday, so we'll see. But like you mentioned, it drove traffic to my store, not necessarily people buying 10 cards so they could get the 50% discount, but I'd made sales, 1 card here, 2 cards here, 3 cards there. And a lot of there was maybe only one sale of them all that took advantage and bought some of like the $10 cards and the $5 cards. Most of them were like $1.50 cards that they were getting for 75 cents on my 50% off sale. So it was a gigantic success. And it was also, not only from a dollar standpoint was it successful, but it was successful from a standpoint where I don't have like an abundance of shipping to do. And I think part of that was I was able to catch up Wednesday and Thursday on shipping. And part of that was because I had some crappy sales days leading into that sale. My Wednesday really sucked. It was basically 50% of my daily goal that I want to reach. So that helped in limiting my sales, which I was able to take advantage of that time by here's a blowout sale, and boom, it helps the bottom line. So thank you, Jenny. It was a success. It continued to be a success through the weekend, even though the sale ended Friday night. Saturday sales were great. And Saturday I was able to eclipse. I had a better day Saturday. In fact, I had a better Saturday than I did Friday. And there was no sale outside of my regular ongoing sales. So big success. Definitely will do it again. And it's going to be kind of a surprise. And I think I'm going to continue doing the coupon to my previous customers. And it'll probably be similar, 50% off when you buy 10 or more. Maybe in November, maybe it's even a better deal. It's by 6, maybe it's only 6 or something to that effect. And we'll see how that goes. I just want to play around with it, see how it goes. But based on the results from this, 36-hour sale, it was highly successful, and I will do it again. And I won't put it off for so long like I did. So my let's just tackle those sales numbers. My sales dollars over the last 31 days, much better, 18% up over the last 30 days. Traffic is still down, but it's trending in the right direction. I'm only down 4% on impressions. My page views are actually up now. I'm in the green. My listing page views are up 3% over the last 31 days. So things are looking up. I can't really say it. We're only a day into October. October started good, but it was also a Saturday, which, Saturdays can be Saturdays at one time were my worst sales day, and looks like they're still pretty weak on Saturdays. Wednesdays have been Wednesday has been my new worst day of the week in terms of sales. Wednesday. It formerly was Saturday. Let's see. Steve, what's up? What do you do about file upload on eBay where it fails because it flags as a duplicate item, prior listing has identical title? or do you not have this issue because the custom SKU is different? I've never had that issue, and that's probably because of the custom SKU. Um, I would say just alter the title just a little bit, and that should do it. And in fact, I think you can probably get away with the same exact title just in a different uh, arrangement. So, say you list a 1990 Topps Cal Ripken. Say your original listing is 1990 Topps number 570 Cal Ripken Jr. Baltimore Orioles baseball card. Your next listing just put Cal Ripken Jr. 1990 Topps number 570 Baltimore Orioles baseball card. That should work because it's not in the exact same arrangement. But I don't have that issue, and I really use the same title on all my listings. So you're probably right with the custom SKU being different. That's probably why I don't run into that issue, because I have the custom SKU field filled out, which differs because that's going to be a different. Each upload is going to be different. Let's see where we at. Jenny says, I personally just add to the quantity when it says dupe listing. There's another, yeah, you can do that. That's a fix. DR says, Zach, it is my service to the hobby and my bank account. John says, amazing products are being released after the season is over. I know it's the wacky world we're currently living in with supply chain and paper shortage and all that crap. Good morning, Paige and Deanie being in the house. Baseball card curmudgeon is here. Cooter says, Badgers do not hold a candle to the suckage of the Sooners this year. Moynihan's horned toads killed OU yesterday. Heads will roll. Bummer. Did Oklahoma's quarterback get hurt yesterday? Is that Dylan Gabriel? Did he go down? And I notice players because of Bowman U. It's like if they have a card in Bowman U, I'm following the box scores and I'm looking at the injury status more closely. Bryce Young got hurt in the Alabama game, and Dylan Gabriel got hurt in that game. Bummer. Paige and Deanie Bean says, Bo would be something if you could start having people drop in live on your show. Yeah, that would be kind of fun. John says, Hokies saying, hold my sucky beer. Royals 417. On the good note, how about those Jayhawks 5-0? And I follow the Jayhawks closely because my buddy Sean, a huge diehard Kansas Jayhawks fan, and I see his updates. State of Kansas turned upside down because both teams are a combined 9-1. So I assume Kansas State must be 4-1. Because I know the Jayhawks are 5-0. I just raised my voice at my driver. John's in an Uber right now. Brian says, where's my coupon? You missed out. It was you should have received it because I know you've bought from my store. It would have been emailed around noon on Thursday, and it was only good for 36 hours. It was 50% off when you buy 10 or more items from my eBay store. It would have came from eBay, so it could have went in your junk folder, your spam folder, or you just probably saw it as an eBay email and deleted it because that's often what I do. Herman says, can someone tell me how to make offers on a multi-card purchase on eBay? I cannot because I have the same difficulty and it's annoying as hell. There's some quirks within eBay that need fixed. That's one of them. Another one is now I lost my train of thought. What's the other one? Oh, the biggie is buying in volume. Like eBay only allows you like 40 to buy 40 cards at a time or 40 items at a time, which is like, come on. That I don't know why that's a closed off number. So that's a peeve of mine where somebody wants to buy like 70 cards and they're like, it won't let me buy more than 40. So then it has to be a separate transaction. So it's just annoying. And then also when people want to like, and this is a problem for like low end sellers like me, where it's like $1.50 cards. Well, if it's a $1.50 card and somebody wants to buy 100 of them, I'm not going to charge them like we can do a 50 cent per card deal if it's commons, if it's a bunch of 83 Topps football cards, and they want 100 of them, it's like, yeah, you don't have to, like, I'm not going to charge you $100 for 100 commons from 83 Tops Football. So we can do a deal. Like, and, how do you do that easily on eBay without me taking down 100 cards and then trying to get them in the right, and then because it's a lot of work. And if it's like, okay, it's a $40 or $50 sale, is it worth an hour of my time to go and do that? I just wish there was a way within eBay to be able to sell cards at cheaper than 99 cents when there's a volume involved. Or another thing is like on the back end, trying to offer a discount. So what in this? Okay, here's another issue. So there's multiple issues. I got to write these down. So another issue is my volume. This is my number one pet peeve within eBay. Is with my volume discounts. So right now, one of my volume discounts is, and it's year round. Buy 7 or more cards, get 25% automatic at checkout. Now, there's nothing in the eBay language that says this does not include offers. Here's the caveat. That's not my rule. That's eBay. eBay does not combine offers, but eBay doesn't tell the consumer that either. So then when somebody sends me offers, and I had this happen just a week or two ago, and they were already getting basically like 35% off, and then they wanted another 25% off. It's like, this is 60%. Like, I would not, if you were expecting a 25% discount on top of an already 35% discount, I would have not accepted your 35% off offers. So they're like, hey, I didn't get the discount. I'm like, well, it's not valid for offers. Oh, well, and then they got mad because they thought that was, my standpoint. It's like, no, that's a flaw within eBay. However, I would not have accepted your offers, with that 25, I would have countered back. I just assumed you wanted to pay $1 per card on 10 cards. I'm cool with that. But another discount on top of it, no, I'm not going to do that. But in the end, it's like, okay, I'll give you the discount. And I just wish there was better language. I've started putting the language in the description. I think I've put it in the description of the discount, but it's still, I wish eBay had like a note that said, volume discounts don't apply to offers, and they just don't. And it's their policy, or at least they're the ones that are, doing it, and they're putting it on the sellers to like explain it. And it's like, well, it's in the description. Well, I didn't read the description. And there you get into all the intricacies within eBay. And I think for me, and because that's what I do, a volume discount, and it's all year round. So that's why I have the issues that I have with it. So what I've started to do is, if I notice people are buying, and I did this with, I sold one of the Kenny Pickett cards, hits that I had from Bowman U. And so he offered me like a value that, okay, without other discounts, I will accept this. So I made sure, like, I was accepting his offer, but I countered the same price he offered. And I said, I will accept this offer. Just want to confirm that this does not include any discounts or coupons. Like, this is the price. And he was cool with that. And he's like, yeah, I'm totally cool with that. Thanks for working with me. So if I see people like send me 99-cent offers on 20 cards, I will like message them and say, I'll accept these offers, but volume discounts don't apply on these offers. So there's many things that I have issues with eBay. Let's see. John says, I messaged the seller, Tom. I think you have to do one offer at a time. I think Zach's correct on that. I don't think there's a bulk method to do it. Did your driver suggest buying fractionals? Let's see. Herman says, watching 3 2017 Topps Museum cards I want to pick up from one seller. John says he tried to go straight from the right turn lane, then tried to go straight from the left lane. Let's see. John's right is fractional use of another person's car, similar to fractional ownership of a card. Only John got to see this car in person. You need to list more golden gophers. LOL. I know who I sound like. That's why I had to say it. Have a great day. Off to get meat for the smoker. Enjoy. And we want to see the results. Dan, what is up? Let's see. So here we are, 50 minutes in. Uh, I do want to tell one story. You probably don't care about me going to my high school football game. It was, before I get to my story, though, it was a great game. My alma mater, Annawan Weathersfield, unranked in the lowest class in Illinois, Class 1A. They were taking on a conference foe who's a larger school, Knoxville. They were ranked number 6 in the larger Class 2A. There's 8 classes in Illinois. So they're still a small school, just bigger than mine. And it was tied, 19-19 at halftime. And then in Annawan Weathersfield scored like in the fourth quarter. 2-point conversion was good. They take a 27-19 lead. I was on the, it'd be the south part of the field, like on the 10-yard line near the south end zone. I was hanging out with my sister and brother-in-law and some cousins. And Knoxville has the ball. They're driving the field under a minute to play. It was 4th down and I think 10. It's from the picture that's on the thumbnail. It's 4th and 10, I think, on like the 20-yard line in Annawan Weathersfield territory. They throw like busted coverage. And Knoxville had a wide open receiver, like at the 5-yard line right in front of us. And it bounced off his hands. And it's like, yes. And that's why my voice is still a little raw this morning from the yelling. I feel bad for the kids, a high school kid. So you feel bad, but yay, Annawan, win the game. There was like, I think there was still a minute. So that might've been like 2 minutes to play or something. So there was like a minute to play. We had the ball. And Knoxville had enough timeouts to like force a punt on 4th down. And it was like on our own 20-yard line. And with 3.6 seconds, that's where the photo's from. 3.6 seconds, we punt. And it's like, oh, this is scary because you're, pretty deep in your own territory. And the punter, Annawan Weathersfield punter, like runs back to the end zone. And I'm like, and he's able to, I'm like, if there's a safety with like 1 second, we still have to punt to them. It's a 6-point game. What if they run the kickback? So many things can happen. He runs to the end zone, but then he cuts back up. Time expires. It was like the longest 3.6 seconds ever. And Annawan Weathersfield pulls off the upset. Fun homecoming win. And it was great to see family and friends at Annawan homecoming. So on my drive there, and I want to share this story before I leave you for the day, I experienced like the plot of a horror movie. And here's what happened. So I took there's a highway called Route 78. By the way, John, I don't know if John's still with us. My GPS calls it route. And I noticed that, and I wanted to record it, but I don't think that's safe while you're driving, trying to take video of your GPS saying route. So Route 78 goes basically from like just a few miles west of where I live, maybe 10 miles west, and it goes straight. Route 78 runs right through my hometown. So it's not a straight shot. It's about the straightest it goes, but there's a lot of hills and curves and towns that you have to drive through in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. So I get off the 4-lane highway in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin, and there's like this classic Corvette, like I don't know, it looks like a mid-60s Corvette. When did Corvette started in like the 50s, so it could have been like a late 50s Corvette. But it was like a really, really old Corvette, really nice car. I'm like, man, this is a nice car. A psychotic driver, though. So I pull off on the on-ramp, on the off-ramp, and the stop sign because I want to take left to go south on Route 78. Cooter says the GPS is right. Route 78. So I'm on Route 78. And this car, this old Corvette, and I can tell it's an elderly couple, maybe not. I guess subjective term, elderly. Older than me, older than 40, younger than 90, somewhere in the middle. And they're like, wait, I'm like, man, what is taking them so long? And so it takes forever for them to cross. And it's like, I just want to get around. And so as soon as we like cross and it's a passable area, I start to pass and this asshole like guns it because he doesn't want me to pass him, but he's going like 10 miles an hour. I'm like, you effing a-hole. So I like hold back and I'm like, okay, maybe he wants to go fast. Okay. And he doesn't want somebody in front of him. Okay. I respect that. As long as you go fast and I can go fast and we can live in peaceful harmony on Route 78 in southern Wisconsin. And he does. He goes fast and I'm comfortable. Like I'm not like up on him or anything. We're both having a good time driving, listening to whatever we're listening to. And then all of a sudden he wants to sightsee and he becomes a Sunday driver. And now he's going like 50. And that's not okay because I don't want to go 50. I want to go 70. And this isn't work. This cohabitation of Route 78 is not working. I am not happy with this current driving situation. So I find a passable zone. And again, I start to pass. And there's a truck, like there was enough room for me to get around the Corvette and get behind a truck before like a no passing zone. Cause there's like a lot of there's a lot of hills. So here I go. I start to pass and this a-hole guns it again. And so now I don't have that space in between us before the no passing zone to get in between the vehicles. So now I have to gun it faster and I'm like passing in a no passing zone to get around the truck. And then I was well on my way. So I'm in now I'm thinking like in the moment, you're not thinking of like, okay, this freaking psychotic road rager. You don't think, and then it's October in the cornfields. The other day I mentioned like dying corn, like in a cornfield is like worse than like the color of death. Like it is the color of death. It's worse than black, like this ugly brown dying corn. And I think it's because I watched too much Children of the Corn growing up. But as I look at my surroundings, beautiful scenery, but a lot of ugly, dead, dying corn, where there's probably like a satanic cult in the middle of this field because we're like in the middle of nowhere in southern Wisconsin. And now like all of these thoughts are racing through my head. Like this is like a satanic cult leader that lives in the corn. I'm going to end up, he's going to call ahead to like his minions, and like this weird like town full of churches, and they're probably satanic churches, and they're going to like put out stop strips, and I'm going to get a flat tire, and I'm going to be stranded in this. I watch way too many horror movies, but the scenery, and I'm like driving, and I'm like, this is all going through my head as I drive. And I'm like, this would be the perfect plot for a scary movie because we're literally in the middle of nowhere. And then I come up on a town called Wyoto, Wisconsin. And Wyoto, Wisconsin is like, it's like basically a town like whatever it is in Nebraska in Children of the Corn. There's like a big, and I'm even thinking like, okay, this like psychotic Corvette driver probably is like, he probably owns all the land around Wyoto, Wisconsin. He like owns this big farm, and there's like a cheese place and like a old bar, and then like the grain fertilizer plant, and then like a scary looking church, and in the middle of corn, like corn everywhere. And I'm like playing out. I'm like, if only I could write, this would make a good book. You know, a guy on his own going back to his hometown for homecoming. Oh, it's happy times. And then he runs across this road raging psycho that runs a satanic cult in Wyoto, Wisconsin. And I have to like survive. My mind was all over the place, Give me some baseball cards. Get these thoughts out of my head. Speaking of, before I go, my mom said, "Oh, I picked something up for you." So she's like, it was like an uncut sheet, and I'm like, "Oh, cool. It's probably 88 tops." No, even better, it was 87 tops. So uncut sheet, 87 tops. There's no Bojack. None of the rookies are on here, but there are 14 Cubs. So when I come across unopened sheets, it's like, well, do I keep it as part of the Cubs collection because there's so many? I do have an 89 tops uncut sheet that has Ty Griffin on it, and I'm a big Ty Griffin fan, even though he never made it past AA. And this has 14 Cubs cards, and it's like, well, I've got to keep it for the Cubs collection. There's so many Cubs cards, but it's also an uncut sheet, and it just doesn't fit my collection. Really, there's a Darryl Strawberry All-Star card, and there's a Cal Ripken Jr. card on there. Otherwise, it's just the Cubs cards. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. Let's see. So Paige and Deanie Bean says Dean wants to open 2022 Topps Heritage Hobby Box after Bo's show today. If anyone is up for it, very cool. So check that out. Drop a link, Paige and Deanie Bean. Zach and Porter, I'll probably tune in because I'm going to grab another cup of coffee and do some shipping. So I always put content on behind me. So I may not be active in the chat as I ship, but I will definitely tune in to that. Zach and Porter says, you lost me on the dying corn. I find that pleasant. Oh, man, it's the worst. And I think it's because of my love of scary movies. So, we did watch, I think we watched 2 more episodes of Dahmer last night. Speaking of psychos, let's see. So we watched episode 3 and 4. I think I fell asleep. I fell asleep on the couch at like 8:15 last night. And my wife's like, are you sleeping? And I'm like, yeah. Do you want me to turn this off? No, I need to stay awake at least another hour. So I think 9:15 I went to bed. Dan finished the Gacy series. Excellent. I enjoyed that. Let's see. You going to hit up any farm festivals with the Couch Queen? She would murder you if if she heard somebody call her the Couch Queen. She would murder you. No, I don't do any I don't do like fall stuff. I hate fall. So I'm accepting it this year though, but I hate fall. It's the sign of winter. So you saw Val. Yes, the science teacher in Dahmer episode 3 does look a lot like Val. As soon as they went to that scene, I'm like, hey, there's Val. It's Mr. Val on Dahmer. So yeah, about the only thing I like about fall is apple cider, and high school football is cool. There's a certain smell. So that's one other thing I wanted to touch on. And I talked about this a few weeks ago where, like when I took the dog out and I just smelled the smell, and there's the certain smell, and I smelled it at the football game. It's just like, it's the smell of the fields being harvested, and probably the smell of like the grass from being played on the football field. And it's like, man, this is the smell of my childhood right here, running around at a high school football game on a Friday night in the fall. Are any of the high schools good at football near you? Historically, yes. I mean, we have, so my schools are really small. Like the schools in the area where I grew up, and I'm talking about Illinois, not near me per se. Oh, in Madison. So the schools where I grew up were all small. My alma mater probably would have won a state championship, but it was the COVID year because they went to the Final Four with like every starter back the following season, which you never know, but they had a good chance at playing in a title game. In Madison, I don't really follow football around here. I do know that, there's like Wanakee, which is like a north suburb of Madison. They have like a powerhouse football program. Ron Dane's kid went there. Let's see, Monona Grove, which is that's like where the Walmart I'll be going to later is in. Herman knows Monona. That's where we went to the Walmart. They played in a state championship because a coworker of mine, her son was on the team that played in a state championship a couple of years ago. Some of I don't think the Madison public schools, I don't think they have like powerhouse football teams. It's kind of like the suburbs. Let's see. So Dan asks, were yours class 1A? So we were when we were Annawan growing up, we were really good in the late 80s, early 90s. So we made 2 or 3 appearances in the state semifinals in Class 1A. And then by the time I got to high school, we sucked. We did make the playoffs my junior year, but lost in the first, got like blown out in the first round. But then we had some, like right after I was in high school, we had some teams that went to the Final Four. And then they started co-oping with our rival in, I think, 2008. And they've made, I think, 3 semifinal appearances, but haven't been to a championship game. And that's been between, the co-op has been either 1A or 2A. So they've made, I think, semifinal appearances in both classes. Rich says the NFL game is tied, Vikings and Saints. Good morning, Mark. Dan says, so I sold a leaf metal hockey set that was pictured in binder pages. Would you ship in pages in a binder, or would you take the cards out, put in appropriate size box, and include sheets in the package? So that's a great question. Typically, what I've done in the past is I sell it as is. So in the listing, I will say this ships ships as photoed, as pictured. So that's what I would do. Unless you took it all out and took photos, not in the binder. But if you took photos in the binder and the pages, that's how I would ship it. And I would make sure in the description you say, or if it's already sold, I would message the buyer and say, hey, I'm going to send this in the binder and pages. Is that okay? So, but typically I would, and how I ship it is, you have to be careful because depends on if the cards can fall out of the pages. So I will wrap it in like bubble wrap and then put it in like a flat rate box to ship in, just to make sure it doesn't the cards don't come out. So that could be a problem, is cards coming out of the top. But hopefully if it's wrapped well in bubble wrap, that doesn't occur. Dan says our classes 1A, 2A, etc. determined by student enrollment. Yes. So, and it actually, it's based on, so in football, the enrollments are determined. It's kind of like a collective. It's determined by student enrollment. And then it doesn't, like Annawan, Annawan, Wethersfield, right now they're like in the 1A rankings, and I don't know what their actual enrollment combined is between the two high schools, but say they're like on the cusp, and they're right now the cutoff for 1A, 2A is say 300 students. And if you're 301, you're in 2A. If you're 299, you're in 1A. But it depends on the 164 teams that qualify for the postseason, the playoffs. Because then the classes are determined. So then they take the top 32 highest enrolled playoff qualifying schools. They're in 8A. The next 32 are in 7A, 6A, 5A, all the way down. So it goes in reverse order that way. And then when you get into private schools, it's different because they have a multiplier. There's now like if you're a private school, and I think there's like a public school. I think it's public also. Like if you've been to the state championship or if you've been to the playoffs so many years in a row, you get bumped up a class regardless of your enrollment. So it's like a lot's changed since I've been covering high school sports. So it's not an exact science. There's different qualifiers. Let's see. Dan says, I think we had about 1,200 students, and you were in 4A. So you were in 4A probably for non-football sports, because all other sports are 4 classes, and then I think some have 3. But like basketball's in 4A. Basketball, there's 4 classes in Illinois, and there's 4 classes in basketball in Illinois. And then football has 8. And then I think most sports have 4 classes. I think like cross country might have 3. Some of the other sports have 3, but most sports have 4 classes. Football is the only one with 8. There's the link for Paige and Deanie Bean's channel, so check that out. I'm going to get some coffee and I'll tune in. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. That hour went really fast. So thanks for tuning in. My school was 4A for football in 94. Okay. So back then there were 6 classes in 94. It went to 8 classes, I think, in 01. It was after I graduated. So I think in 01. So have a wonderful Sunday. Go Bears. Bears and Giants noon today. Have a great Sunday. Back at it tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central. Tune in the chat. In the link in the chat is Paige and Deanie Bean's channel. I'll be hopping over there. Have a great Sunday, and we'll talk tomorrow.